Hey, hello dreamers, welcome back to the world of Tana Dreams. Today I'll be visiting one of my favorite television series from my childhood, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Even though this show is a bit infamous for its dark atmosphere and being a tad bit of nightmare fuel, it was hands down one of the most well-crafted series on Cartoon Network, even amongst tough competition like Dexter's Lab and Ed, Edd and Eddy. To this day, it's still a huge classic. So what I'll be doing is redesigning a few of the characters that brought Courage the Cowardly Dog into infamy. The challenge will be to turn them into handsome men. Yes, changing horrors into heartthrobs. I'll be drawing the characters into my style, by the way, to make the redesigns have a better outcome. Like, look how hard it was for me to draw Courage here. Otherwise, let's do this. The first character I'll be redesigning is King Ramsey from the episode King Ramsey's Curse. Yes, this episode and the characters are a hot topic within the animation community for obvious reasons. Watching the episode as an adult, you can understand how dark and atmospheric the episode is overall. Like, the two thieves at the beginning of the episode die. When I was a kid, I didn't find King Ramsey that terrifying, but I definitely had a hard time understanding his design. Where are his eyes? So what I did for his redesign was make him look more like an Egyptian king. Like, I won't lie, and this may be just me, but from his original design, I couldn't really tell he was an Egyptian king, so I researched what young Egyptian men in ancient times would generally look like. So I lightened up his skin from his old redesign, and I kept the top of his head bald but gave him a little hair above his ears, and I made that hair dark as most Egyptian men have dark brown hair, and I put more muscles on his bones for sure. I did my best to keep his clothes as similar to his old design, but I wanted to make them look more like robes or garments. For his eyes, as you can tell, I had a little bit of a hard time defining them. I drew them too large, and then I had to fix them at the end. This is how he turned out. Spoiler alert, he wasn't my favorite redesign out of all the ones I made, but I was pretty happy with how he turned out. Next up is actually going to be one of my all-time favorite characters from the show, the Magical Tree of Nowhere. I think the reason why I like the character so much was because the episode was one of the very first episodes I watched from Courage the Cowardly Dog, and it really brings me back. It's also that the tree actually has a very kind and wise nature to him, and I think a lot of us do look for that in real life. He didn't really scare me as a kid, but I can see how some people may not like his design, like the human mouth on the animated tree does seem a bit odd. So for his redesign, I made him a half tree and a half handsome man. I referenced him more towards a Greek god, like, don't you admit that he has a bit of a gaudy vibe to him? So I wanted to keep that, but I used more inspiration from Greek mythology. I aged him down to be a younger adult, like early 30s, and I made him very muscular, like an ancient Greek man. And then I gave him long, flowy hair. His flowers at the top of his head were really important for the episode, so I made them into a crown for the tree. Here's how he turned out, and I was actually pretty pleased with him. I just wish I made the posing a bit more dynamic, but then again, he's a half tree, so what can you do? Last and absolutely not least will be a character that actually disturbed me as a kid. The Bugle Demon that said, "You're not perfect." Like, it's really easy to see how this thing can give you such a jump scare. Look at how he has no arms and a thing growing out of his head. His eyes look dead, and oh my gosh, his voice just gives me shivers. So for his redesign, I decided to be the most creative with him. Out of the three, he was the most cartoonish redesign I made. I decided to model him after a really snooty, pompous rich man. Think about it, this really snobbish gentleman sipping his tea and being like, "You're not perfect, ha!" As you can see, I made him into a younger man, made him dress really nicely and with a top hat and blazer. I decided to keep that curly and whimsical aspect to him by having this curly spring popping out of his head to emulate that demon's arm thing and have it pour tea for him. Some people speculate that the demon is a manifestation of the bugle Uses got earlier in the episode. No confirmation, but I decided to make his hair curly and golden like the bugle, and because the bugle was broken, I put a crack on the teacup he's drinking. That way it's still a part of him and he's in a way being a hypocrite, like, you're not perfect either, dude. Anyways, here's how he came out, and honestly, he gives me a few chuckles. Well, there we have it, King Ramsey's The Magical Tree of Nowhere and the You're Not Perfect Demon redesigned. What I liked about doing this video is that I got to use art and character design skills to revisit a series that really meant a lot to me as a kid. Please let me know your thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. The world of Tana Dreams is full of art, creativity, and positivity. I would love to have you be part of that world. Have a wonderful rest of your day. May all your sweet dreams come true.